I'm not originally from South Boston. I moved into the community 22 years ago. But you realize that sometimes when you seek help outside the neighborhood, that's not always viewed in the most... It's viewed more skeptically than with skepticism, definitely. Like, we can take care of our own. And our feeling was, well, there's nobody here that's reaching out to help us solve some of these problems. And ACE has always been there to at least listen to us and to try to offer support, both legal and technical. We don't particularly fit the criteria of usually an ACE community because South Boston is not a community of color, but we are a community of environmental and industrial insults because of our past. We have a blue-collar past. So we were able to bridge that almost like a gap, because I think a lot of people think that, well, at that time it was most of the environmental problems were in a city were happening more in neighborhoods of color, but I think it's more of it was really by economics that South Boston also had so many of these environmental insults because we were a blue-collar community for 100 years. You know, there are parts of South Boston where it's more tree-lined streets and it's much more residential. We were in an area where we had industries. But again, it was what we could afford. And I thought, damn it, is somebody, not going to address this? I mean, I'm trying to raise my children here. I had neighbors talking about laundry on the lines that would get pitted with dirt and cars that would have ash on it. And I'm thinking, whoa. I'm thinking, I'm going to fight for this because this is my home, because it's my children, and because if I don't do it, then who else is going to do it? Massport has the consolidated container port at the end of one of our streets in South Boston, and they've just recently tried to purchase 30 acres of a coastal oil tank farm that is still polluted, that there's still all this oil underground, and ACE was really just key in helping us to identify that in order for Massport to take this property, that there should be some sort of commitment made to the community. And ACE helped get us information and get us meeting with the Attorney General's office, tried to help us sort out all of the documentation, created an amazing document and history of this particular area to then help us with any future plans for this site. We thought that we were going to be able to take it to another step. The Attorney General was about to make a decision, but then Massport was able to pull back on creating this covenant not to sue. They were originally going to apply for this covenant not to sue, and in that we were going to be able to define commitment to mitigation. But after this 8-month process, they pulled back so that they decided not to take out this covenant, and therefore we lost a little bit of a position in terms of what we felt like the commitments were going to be to the neighborhood. But ACE was there the whole time. Gene Benson, the lawyer, was just remarkable. We never would have got to meet with the Attorney General's office and the head of the Brownsfield Division, and we were able to plead our concerns in our case. We forced Massport to have a community meeting that they otherwise would not have had, and I do credit ACE for helping to at least elevate the issues to a more public forum that would not have happened without their intervention. I think for us, ACE was the only group, they were the only group to try to help us. They were able to look specifically at what was happening here, and we were able to collaborate, and they were open to that. And I think that we'll always be grateful for that. When I first heard the term environmental justice, all I could think of was that where I lived on my street, I had to face some things that I shouldn't have had to face. And so for me, the justice is when I'm no longer feeling the effects of long-standing industrial use and misuse. And I never defined it in terms of economics or race or whatever. It was about I should be able to come into my home and my children should be able to grow up without worry that because of where we live, we're going to have some sort of impact that somebody in another area wouldn't have to face. So for me, that's really what it was.